accompany, accompany, accompany. So, let's talk about the word accompany. The part of speech is a verb, which means it will typically be followed by an object, often in the form of a gerund, a verb ending in ing, like singing or dancing. When we say someone accompanies something, we usually mean that they are providing musical support for it. For example, she accompanied herself on the piano while singing. But accompany can also be used to describe the act of being present with someone else. As in, he accompanied his friends to the concert, where he went along with them. In general, when you're deciding whether to use accompany or another verb like attend or join, think about whether you're providing some kind of support or service. And if so, accompany might be a good choice. One special note is that in British English, accompany can sometimes mean simply being present at an event, whereas in American English, it tends to imply more active participation or support, so be aware of this possible difference. When using the word, I'd be happy to help you with examples of how to use the word accompany in different contexts. So, let's say we're planning a trip to Paris and I'm looking for some language guidance. I'll accompany you to the Eiffel Tower tomorrow afternoon. But first, can you help me practice my French so I don't sound like a total tourist when we're there? In this casual conversation usage, accompany is used to mean that someone will be present and go along with another person, often for social or leisure activities. On the other hand, if I'm writing a formal letter to a colleague inviting them to attend an important meeting, I might say something like, "It would be beneficial for Dr. Smith to accompany us at this conference, as their expertise is crucial in understanding the implications of our research." Here, accompany has a more formal tone and implies that someone will provide guidance or support in a professional context. Finally, if we're working on a project proposal and I need to explain what kind of resources will be required, I might write something like, "We anticipate requiring a team of 5 staff members to accompany the principal investigator throughout this study." In this business academic usage, accompany implies that someone will provide ongoing support or assistance over a period of time. So you want to learn about this concept, right? Well, when we say that something is accompanied by another thing, we mean that these two things are going together, side by side, like friends. The main characteristic of this idea is that one thing follows or goes with another, often to provide support or help in some way. It's similar to concepts like with or together, but it implies a bit more closeness or involvement. You know, for example, if someone is walking with a friend who has a map, the person with the map is helping their friend navigate through an unfamiliar area. That's what we mean by this idea. One thing helps or supports another as they do something together. Accumulate, accumulate, accumulate. Let's talk about the word accumulate. The part of speech for this word is a verb, which means it expresses an action or a state of being. In common usage, accumulate means to gather or collect something over time, often in large amounts. For example, you might say that someone has accumulated a lot of wealth, knowledge, or even skills. It's also used to describe the process of storing something, like data or experiences, in your mind or in a physical place. What's interesting about accumulate is that it can imply a sense of growth or progress, especially when describing positive changes. But it can also suggest stagnation or clutter when describing negative ones. Here are 3 examples of how to use the word accumulate in different contexts. In a formal setting such as a job interview, you might say, throughout my academic career, I have accumulated a wealth of knowledge and experience in the field of marketing, which has enabled me to excel in this role. In this context, accumulate means to gather or collect something over time, often with the intention of using it for future benefit. The speaker is showcasing their qualifications and relevant skills to demonstrate why they are suitable for the position. In a casual conversation with a friend, you might say, I've been trying to get into shape and I've accumulated some great workout routines online that I want to try out this weekend. Here, accumulate means to collect or gather something gradually over time. The speaker is talking about how they have come across some helpful resources that they're looking forward to using. In a business or academic setting, you might say, the company has accumulated significant losses over the past quarter due to unforeseen market fluctuations, which necessitates a strategic review of our financial projections. In this context, accumulate means to build up or increase something, often in an undesirable way. The speaker is presenting data on how the company's finances have been affected by external factors. So you want to know about this concept called accumulate? Well, basically it means to gather or collect something gradually over time, often in small amounts. Think of it like putting away coins in your piggy bank. At first, there might not be much money inside, but as you keep adding more coins, the amount grows. The main characteristics are that it's a process that happens slowly and usually bit by bit. So you won't see big changes right away, but eventually, there will be quite a collection. Similar concepts or synonyms could be gather, collect, or even save. They all kind of mean the same thing, like saving money for a rainy day. And when we use this concept, we often talk about things that are important to keep track of over time, like progress, knowledge, or even just little habits. Ambiguous. 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 Let's talk about the word ambiguous. So, the part of speech for ambiguous is an adjective, which means it describes or modifies a noun. Now, when we say that something is ambiguous, what we mean is that its meaning is unclear or can be interpreted in multiple ways, often leading to confusion or misunderstandings. In common usage, you'll hear ambiguous used to describe words, phrases, or situations where the intended message isn't clear, like a joke that's meant to be funny but might offend someone instead. For example, you could say, he gave an ambiguous answer in the interview, which made us wonder if he was truly interested in the job. One special note about using ambiguous is that it often implies a lack of clarity or intention, whereas words like vague or unclear might focus more on the quality of being fuzzy or incomplete. In a lecture on philosophy, Professor Thompson explained that the concept of free will can be quite ambiguous when considering the role of determinism in human decision-making. This ambiguity arises from the fact that some people believe our choices are entirely predetermined by prior causes, while others argue that we have genuine control over our actions. At a dinner party with friends, Sarah mentioned how her boss had given an ambiguous response to her request for a raise, leaving her unsure if she should take on additional responsibilities or wait for further clarification. Her friend Emily chimed in, suggesting that maybe it was time to schedule a follow-up meeting to discuss the possibilities. In a conference presentation on artificial intelligence, Dr. Lee discussed how the interpretation of complex neural networks can be ambiguous due to the numerous variables involved in their design and operation. She emphasized the need for more research to clarify the relationships between network architecture, learning algorithms, and performance metrics, highlighting areas where further investigation is required to ensure accurate prediction outcomes. So you're trying to understand what ambiguous means. It basically refers to something that can be interpreted in two or more different ways, and it's not clear which meaning is correct. Imagine you see a sign that says exit, but there are multiple doors with this label, one leading out of the building and another leading to a different part of the same building. In this case, the word exit has become confusing because it can refer to more than one thing, right?